Hey, see Bronies, it's Andrew or TV Minus 619, and do you know what this is? This is my list of season 1 episode rankings. Um, so yeah, I might ruffle a few feathers again, possibly similar to the music one I did yesterday, but yeah, here I've got a list. There's 4 different tiers. There's the shit tier, the okay tier, the great tier, and the brilliant tier. Those are the 4. And in each tier, I've organised the episodes in the ways that I prefer. So, without further ado, we will start at the very bottom. Yeah, very bottom of the shit tier I gave was, I do believe it was. Give me 1 second. I wrote acronyms here because I couldn't write the names. Couldn't be bothered writing those. Here we go. Green isn't your colour. Yeah, Green Isn't Your Colour is probably my least favourite episode of season 1. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. I gave my thoughts on this quite recently, actually. I said that the episode seemed more geared towards, the young girls, because, it's dresses and fashion and all of that stuff. Fluttershy's, screaming, sneezing, kicking, those were the highlights of the episode, and those were only like a few seconds long each. And that's really the best I had to say. Next on the list is Owl's Well That Ends Well. Again, it wasn't a brilliant episode, and I think I'll tell you why. This is going to sound a bit harsh, but Spike's okay as a supporting character, as a secondary one. But having like an entire episode dedicated to him, and where he only really feels jealousy and lying, it just... he should be more of a secondary character. Got my hairs on this. Yeah, he should be more of a secondary character rather than having like loads and loads of screen time. But that's just my opinion. Now on the OK tier. OK tier, I gave A Bird in the Hoof one. It was an okay episode. It wasn't that adventurous. I mean, a bird that gets sick. Nah. I did feel sad for Fluttershy when she thought that the bird died, because I gotta admit, that was a pretty dick move right there. But the fact that made Fluttershy cry, not cool. Next one up is A Dog and Pony Show. Now this, it's an okay episode in the sense that it improved Rarity's character, in my eyes at least, because she was pretty much, in a way, it's like their version of trolling, particularly like, oh, you wanna hear whining? You wanna hear whining? That part was pretty good, where she starts whining. I liked that one. That part was good, but yeah, it wasn't the best episode, which is why it's only on the OK tier. Now the biggest tier here I'm moving on to now is the great tier, and at the very bottom here, so I guess it's number 22 on the list. Friendship is Magic Part 1. It's kind of predictable. It's the first part of a pilot episode. I understand what they were going for, the whole setting, the scene and the story and the character development and all that. That's fine. It got pretty good towards the end, which is with when the whole Nightmare Moon incident occurred. But yeah, no problems with the episode as such. But it's a pilot episode, so it's not brilliant. Moving up, we have Look Before You Sleep. I think it was like it was one of the first, if not the first, conflict episodes between Applejack and Rarity. It was interesting to see like how it all built up and stuff. That was funny, but again, it was a bit tense at times. So it was a bit uncomfortable at times, basically. So it's just above Friendship is Magic Part 1. Not a bad episode, just a bit of a weird episode. Next one, Dragon Shy. Yeah, I think it was a good development story for Fluttershy, like towards the end when she was yelling at the dragon. That was pretty cool. But I think the whole, I'm a bit, I'm scared about everything, kind of got overplayed a bit. Even though Fluttershy is probably one of, if not my favourite of the main six. But yeah, it was okay. Towards the end was better, but yeah. Next up, I do have Ghostbusters. Now, this episode was the concept was okay. You know, the whole mysterious pony who was a fraud in the end, and the Canadian accent slipping through a bit there. That was kind of interesting, but I wasn't a fan of was it Snips and Snails or whatever. Not a fan of those characters at all, really. Next up is Suited for Success. I'll tell you, one of the reasons that this is slightly higher up is because of the song in the episode itself. All of the dress, it was Rarity, but the song itself, you got to give credit where it's due. It was a pretty good song that improved the episode, but again, didn't really help with Rarity's character. But there you go, I guess. Next up is Griffin the Brush Off. Now, I'll tell you, this episode is slightly higher up because I enjoyed the beginning part with the whole Rainbow Dash flying away from Pinkie Pie, and Pinkie's always catching up with her, and always cheerful. And then they had like a good friendship going on there, and the party at the end. Gilda was a bitch. There's no kind, soft way of saying that. I did not like her as a character. She made Fluttershy cry. I mean, she's dead to me. Next one, Bridal Gossip. Now, this episode is only a great one because it was an okay episode, but like the second half was better when they were infected by the the poison joke. That was pretty funny to see, and Flutter Guy, of course. But the beginning part, wasn't entirely for me, but it got better towards the end, I guess. Next one is Swarm of the Century. I do have a couple of issues with this episode, like getting rid of the swarm, but we'll just ignore that. That could be a completely different video if you want. Yeah. It was interesting. Well, I guess interesting. It was funny to see how they tried dealing with them and how they kept coming back. And then in the end, Pinkie, who just looked, ridiculous, was the one that was doing the right thing to get rid of the parasites. So that was an okay episode. Next one, Stairmaster. Again, Fluttershy based. Looking after, I guess you can call them the CMC Cutie Mark Crusaders. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting episode, especially towards the end when she just stared down. What's the name of that? You know what I'm talking about. The chicken that turns ponies to stone or whatever. That was when she's staring down. That was pretty cool. And of course, Hush Now Lullaby. That was good. That was funny with Sweetie Belle doing her version of it. I like that part. That was pretty cool. Next up, Over a Barrel. This is one of the more, I guess, action-based episodes, which I guess is why it's slightly higher up. Yeah, it was cool. It's interesting to see like the conflict between there's Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie and Spike. They're on like the Buffalo side, I guess, and the rest are on the Settler side. And then that battle at the end with the the apple pies and all of that stuff. That was pretty cool to watch. And of course, You Gotta Share, You Gotta Care. Not the best song by a long shot, but it was entertaining for that episode. Next one, The Showstoppers. This one is higher up because, okay, I know this is probably going to sound bad, but the song was really good. The entire setup and the fact they went against what they were really good at, and then it kind of just turned into a disaster. But it was a pretty awesome disaster to watch, which is why it's up on there on near the top. Next up is Applebuck Season, and this is higher up because it had each part of the episode was divided between the main six. Applejack was trying to help all of them, and failing pretty miserably in all areas. I remember particularly when she gave the wrong ingredients for the cupcakes or the muffins, and she got all of the other ponies sick. That's pretty funny. And also the Rainbow Dash part when she tried jumping onto the seesaw mechanism. But yeah, that was quite up on my list because I like the episodes when they're divided between the main six. Next up is Fairweather Friends. Fairweather Friends. Oh, sorry, Full Weather Friends. Sorry. Full Weather Friends. That was a pretty interesting episode. Again, it was kind of there was a conflict between Applejack and Rainbow Dash, which is sort of awkward to watch. But they got competitive and they had the competitions. There was the whole cheating with the flying, and then the race at the end was a complete disaster. And that was pretty funny to watch. And I'm not sure. I'm gonna just be professional and check the wiki quickly, because I want to say something, but I'm not entirely sure if it's correct, so just 1 second. Here we go. Scroll down to the bottom. I'll get there in a minute, don't worry. Yeah. The funny thing is that Twilight, who was going slowly the entire way, managed to come in 5th place apparently. So that was pretty funny. And Applejack and Applejack and Rainbow Dash. Sorry. When they both came joint last, that was pretty fun. I think it's a good summary for the end of the episode. And next on my list is Call of the Cutie, and that was the first Cutie Mark episode where Apple Bloom was embarrassed that she didn't have her Cutie Mark, and she tried hiding it, that sort of stuff. And then in the end, she thought she was the only one that didn't have one. The two I can't remember the names off the top of my head. The two mean girl ponies who are having the party. And I think one was called Silver Spoon or something like that. But yeah, and then in the end at the party, Apple Bloom managed to find other ponies that haven't got their cutie marks yet, and they formed the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and I think that's pretty cool. Just like a middle finger to the haters, basically. And that's why it's quite near the top. Next one, Friendship is Magic Part 2. This is the first episode where it showed each of the main six, I guess, going against their fears or their worries and that sort of stuff. And I like the different ways that they seem to deal with them. So, for instance, Pinkie Pie was laughing at the trees, and Fluttershy was calming I think it was like a lion in front of that was blocking their path. That stuff was pretty cool. Yeah, the Manticore, and other stuff like that. What else? Oh yeah, when they nearly when they nearly fall off the cliff, and then and then the Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy save her. They place their strengths and defeat their fears, which is pretty awesome, especially for the second pilot episode. And of course, there was the whole, I guess, battle at the end where they actually they defeated Nightmare Moon. That was pretty cool. Yeah. And the Shadow Bolts and Rainbow Dash not going with them because she wanted to help her friends more. That was pretty cool. Next up, last one on the great tier, Winter Wrap Up. This episode was good because it showed Twilight was willing to try to help all of the other ponies with what they were doing, but she proved to fail at all of them, which I guess brought a lot of the humour to the episode. It was a bit sad when I guess Applejack made her cry because she's trying to use magic and it all kind of went haywire. But yeah, that was a pretty cool episode to watch. That was professional, just turn around to look away. It was a pretty interesting episode, especially